This episode is brought to you by FairDesk, a crypto derivatives trading platform founded by 6 former Binance execs and 3 former Morgan Stanley architects. FairDesk is a company focused on building a platform that enables traders to profit from both rising and falling markets. Sign up today and CB will credit you up to $600 in trading funds. For more information, visit fairdesk.com, link in the description below.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Okay. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing it live. I haven't done one of these. I don't know in how long. We're doing it live, though, ladies and gentlemen.
I can all write it
today
and
we
we'll
have Juan Fitty, 10 pound. And a guy that I haven't had on in probably 5-ish years. I don't know. It's been a long time. Joel Valenzuela, how are you, man? Both of you, thanks for tuning in and joining today. Now, how this all came about, I was on Twitter and saw a post by Joel. And let me see if I can pull it up really quickly. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I want you guys to go check it out. I'll drop it in the description of this video. Let's see if I can find it. It's right here. There we go. There we go. So this was the tweet that kind of sparked, I think, 10 pounds saying I'm pessimistic, and because I was agreeing with pretty much everything Joel said here in this tweet. It was a long tweet, long thread, but he summed it up, in my opinion, very, very good. And the thing about this is that, and I saw someone say this on the chat room, in the chat room. Let me see, Mr. Sakila, check out the Crypto Rice Crypto Amir. I don't know how you say his last name, but he's an OG programmer. Joel, I don't know if you know him, but one of the 5 first developers for Bitcoin. He's completely ditched the project because he thinks it's been pretty much compromised as well. So you got a lot of OG people seeing that, and there's nothing wrong with visions changing or projects taking a different road. That's fine. That's normal. That's what life is about. You set out to do something, and 9 times out of 10, you look 15 years later, you're not going to be on the same path that you initially intended. So that's cool, in my opinion. I think, Joel, you feel the same way. But this was the tweet, guys, that kind of sparked this debate, and I want you guys to definitely chime in the chat room today and give your input as well. I think this is going to be a great conversation. It's going to be good for the industry. We need more of this. Okay, we need to stop the echo chambers. We need to have these real debates, and I think we all can learn from it. So let me just do a quick rundown. We got Jason Lynn's in the house, OF in the house, anything for clicks. Bob Cat is in the building.
What up, Bobcat?
Yeah, what up, Bobcat? We got Rice in the house too. Okay, all right. Should have had you come on, Rice.
Should have.
But yeah, guys, let's start with 10 pound. Everyone pretty much knows you from my channel. You've been on quite many times, but kind of tell the people about yourself, because I told you before going live, I think both of you are very qualified to have this debate. You are more on the tech side. You develop.
Yep, it's true. Yes, I am a developer, full stack developer, and also I run with developers as well in a cohort, sort of like a decentralized co-working group called 24/7 420, and it's been this way for the past like 5.5 years now.
Nice.
So we like pretty much do a lot of experimentation, raw, like sort of like soupy code, like at the granular level when it comes down to like distributed databasing and like Merkle trees and like sort of like zero knowledge proofs, etc. Right? We've been doing so as well as creating 3D models and 3D assets that can like communicate with these assets as well. And we love music. We make music as well. We're fucking homies. We fucking make badass tunes. So Yeah.
I have a
Well, yeah,
link in
I've
the
also
description.
been involved in the space from like uh, just sort of like analyzing the data and sort of like doing analytics and
Okay.
whatnot for like Wall Street firms. I was a senior analyst at Gochstein Media
Nice.
for a while, for like a season or two, like practically a year. And that sort of like gave me a really nice little bird's eye view perspective on the entire industry, as I was also running around like the crypto convention circuit and sort of like brushing shoulders with like the really big players, you know, like the cats that are in the documentaries of yesteryear and the
Gotcha.
documentaries of tomorrow. So yeah, that's a little bit of background about me.
Thanks, 10 Pound. And Joel.
Hey everyone. So I'm Joel Valenzuela, and I've been involved in crypto for about um, 11 years now, I believe. It was like late 2020, 2012, early 2013. I've been using it pretty regularly. At the end of 2015, I stopped getting paid in fiat currency. I just said I don't want any more fiat. I just want to only have crypto. That's still ongoing to today. In 2016, I closed my bank account. And so I got involved mostly with Bitcoin in the beginning. And by the end of 2016, that wasn't really possible. So I started using Dash and other coins more heavily. I've been involved in quite a few different crypto projects, but since the beginning of this year, I've been working full time with Dash and still have my own show, Digital Cash Network, that I run on the side. And of course, I like to make as many people as possible angry on X. And so if you see it's about 80 to 90% what I think, and like 10 to 20% spice on top to get people to retweet it. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. You got to do that, man. You got to get people's attention somehow. I just respect both of you. You know, you're not just talking it, you're living it. You know, 10 Pound on the more tech side, and Joel on just literally living on Bitcoin. I remember when I had you on my channel, maybe about 5-6 years ago, Joel. You were living on Bitcoin then, and you were one of the
Yeah.
very few, and you were touting that on Twitter, like all you guys talking shit. Are you really living it though? Are you doing like I'm doing by living on crypto 24/7? And I commend both of you. So let's just kind of start. I want to start on the history of Bitcoin and kind of get your take on where you've seen Bitcoin come from to where it is today. What changes have you seen that are good, that are red flags? I'll start with you, Joel.
Yeah. So Bitcoin is what it did at the outset was a very simple kind of thing. It's like decentralized money no one can inflate or censor, that anyone can just easily send or receive. And that was very much the experience in the early day. And of course, it's going to sound a lot like I'm channeling Roger Ver here about Bitcoin used to work before the blocks filled up and all that. And it's a lot of it is true. I used it as a day-to-day cryptocurrency. And at some point, the only major technical change I noticed from the early days initially was when they came out with HD wallets, and I didn't just have one address anymore. Like you have like with account-based coins like ETH, EOS, etc. And they started giving you a new address every time. But other than that, it worked pretty well until beginning of 2016. For me, I started having to pay more in fees. I had to wait several hours to get a confirmation through. I had to skip lunch a few days because I literally couldn't get a payment through in time. And I mostly stopped using Bitcoin around then, but I still used it here and there over the years. A couple of years ago, I ran a Lightning node and kind of documented that a little bit. And I do use a few Lightning wallets. And the experience is extremely different today because obviously there's the whole, you have to wait for the best time to consolidate your UTXOs. Fee every once in a while you have a bunch of people making NFTs on chain, which is crazy that it's happening on Bitcoin now. And just having to dodge that and then go to the ever evolving space of L2s where Lightning is super clunky if you use it at its very root. If you use it in a completely custodial way, which is kind of against the whole point of Bitcoin, but it works a lot smoother, I guess. But then, for example, Wallet of Satoshi got banned from the US, so US users just got rugged. And then you start to have now it's like, okay, well, we got Liquid's making a comeback, and we got other things. And generally just the experience has the base. If you actually use Bitcoin and you get a good fee, it still seems like the old days, kind of. The problem is you don't get a good fee usually, and all the other stuff on top of it is just not really the same. It's radically different, actually.
Yeah. 10
I agree.
pound.
Yeah,
10
I completely
pound.
agree with
Kind
what
of give
Joel.
me your kind of synopsis or generalization of where we've come from in Bitcoin to where we are today.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I can do that. So Bitcoin at its core, right? The legacy chain went through several sort of like iterations and soft forks and hard forks, right? Over the years. And I'd say back in the day, hitting blocks was actually easy with GPU mining and CPU mining. It was actually easy to even get like Bitcoin from faucets, tapping faucets. And nowadays it's like damn near impossible to get your hands on Satoshi for free, right? It's like we're talking about like a radically different experience from like the user endpoint, right? Like people that have just sort of like been involved in the space since 2012 2013, right, that actually hashed coins, that understand how to generate the sausage, right? They know how the sausage is made, to it being practically monopolized by a handful of mega corporations, primarily based out of Southeast Asia.
But
So
I'm going to jump in on that because that characteristic that you're speaking of is really that was already programmed into the protocol. So that's not that shouldn't be a surprise to us, and I don't think it is to any of the three of us.
no,
Right?
no, of course
Harder
not.
to obtain and get your hands on it. That was part of the protocol. I guess my question to you, 10 pound, is more so the transition from the old days of Bitcoin and being able to use it fast, cheap. Those days are gone because
Yeah,
of, in my opinion, and maybe Joel can chime in on this as well. It has a lot to do with block size. We
I
restricted
agree.
block
I
sizes,
agree.
and that's kind of when the time bomb, to me, the decay of Bitcoin began.
I completely remember, and I still understand why this happened. Believe me, bro, I have all the forks: Diamond, Cash,
Hmm.
Black, literally SV. Dude, I totally get it. I remember the entire iteration cycle, bro, and also the drama that came from it, and how these like sort of like egomaniacal people sort of like berated Roger Ver to the point where he like decided to just hide out in Japan. Like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, I don't think that we as a community really understand the ramifications of like what we do and how we treat each other at scale. Like we don't.
Mhm.
And that's a problem. We need to do that and realize that like our ego is gonna bite us back in the ass when we like sort of like try to push people away. They're actually coming up with reasonable solutions. And Roger Ver, he saw what was happening in Core, and he decided to take matters into his own hands. Sure, the price hasn't appreciated greatly compared to what Core has done. Sure, it just hasn't, right? But still, uh, Bitcoin Cash is still being supported on the EVM and is still being utilized on the EVM and is scaling to this day as well. But I don't want to diverge into forks and that sort of conversation. I want to take back to the idea of utilizing the original idea of Bitcoin, right? The core idea of Bitcoin. And, Joel spoke about Lightning Network channels. And I feel as if you're moving large scale amount of Bitcoin, like in bulk for over the counter, it is the best solution where you still won't pay a ridiculous fee and your transaction will probably get confirmed in like, less than 5 minutes. Like the finality is great. It's your own private channel practically. But you're right. It is still centralized, heavily centralized to a
That's my
degree.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
is
my
heavily
concern.
centralized, but it's still a part of the software experience. It's still built into the core experience of Bitcoin as a protocol. And saying that it's not possible to send money for cheap, even though you can do it in a centralized manner, is just disingenuous to a degree. But there are these other solutions that were financed with Bitcoin that are just substantially better than Bitcoin these days. And if you think about it, the root origins, the idea of Bitcoin is that the Satoshi would create a peer-to-peer digital ecosystem. And that's exactly what it did. It financed the creation of Ethereum. It financed the creation of practically all the other chains because people were raising funds on Ethereum to do ICOs, EOS, as the perfect example, just an idea, right? Just a general idea. And you saw how that affected politics, right? In our modern day society. So
I guess my question though is like,
yeah.
in regards to this Lightning Network, you're saying you can move your funds via Lightning Network, and I'll let Joel chime in. But it's like, okay, the whole point of Bitcoin was to keep things decentralized. So why are we going backwards to a centralized solution to scale?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, bro. I completely hear what you're saying. And Joel, I'll let you chime in.
Yeah.
But still, to take it back to the idea and the concept of Bitcoin, right? And what you usually say is, right, decentralization is a gradient effect, right?
Yes.
Let's say, for instance, you've got Bitcoin, right? And Satoshi's pre-mine, right? Some people will say a pre-mine is heavily centralized, like securing the network, having one party control a massive supply of the network to make sure that the network is actually sort of like going to be secure at its genesis. That's some sort of decentralization, but centralization at the same time, right? He decided to create something on his own because the chancellor of finance and his government decided that he wanted to rob him, right? So he centralized power away from his government for himself, right? That's still a form of centralization if you think about it.
Yes, but then we had entropy. We had it start to spread out and become more decentralized. But now we're coming back around, going the other way, in my opinion, in
that's
Bitcoin.
Because the big money, like, bro.
Joel, you want to chime in real quick?
Yeah, there's something you do have to sort of balance when you think about. Obviously, it's all fun when you start out and you're mining off your own little home computer, and you know everyone who can run their whole node and everything. Things are a lot simpler back then, and yes, to a certain extent, we do have to realize things will get institutionalized over time to a certain extent. The big thing, what I always ask is like, because I put a lot into this ecosystem. I've been using it for so long. I work full time and I do everything. For this to matter, I have to wonder why. Why are we even here? And the core thing for me is that first off, you get to hold your own money, you get to transact without anyone else's permission or being able to censor you, and you don't get your money inflated away by some central party. It's so as long as we have some kind of touching of all those things, it's all still worth it. And so if you take the current state of where you have a lot of where the space is going, whether it's Bitcoin and Ethereum too, I have some, not good words for the way Ethereum is today as well. But you do have that first thing still where, okay, if you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, you have a limited supply that some central entity can't print. But then the other things of, do you hold your own money? The large answer is no these days. You can still kind of self-custody some Bitcoin, but I do have a friend who I helped him consolidate his UTXOs over Christmas. He paid $882 to just move to a hardware wallet. And that's brutal. That's unacceptable, right? People are just going to leave it on an exchange there. And then what do you need in order to transact with other people? If you find people, if you say anyone can transact if they pay a high enough fee, but no one ends up doing it because it's too high. Or you say, well, you can run your own Lightning node and manage your own channels or whatever else. But then everyone is pushing completely custodial solutions, whereas before they weren't. Before almost every wallet was non-custodial. We're seeing there's a problem. And do I think it's worth promoting a system that gives us one out of those three things? No. In a vacuum, yes. But because we have other options, no.
Yeah. I completely agree with that too. I completely agree with that 100%. And mind you, I would just want to take back to the history and the idea, the dichotomy of Bitcoin before I just sort of like go on a tirade in this debate. When it comes down to like SegWit, right, and the idea of BRC20s and the inflation bug that drove Bitcoin way over its initial supply, and they had to roll back the chain and fix some bugs. That actually happened. You can look that up. That did happen. I do believe that people are sort of utilizing these custodial services for smart contracts on Bitcoin because of ordinals and BRC20s, which is a form of inflation on the Bitcoin blockchain, which I still would love to see get forked away. It's just bogging down the network, and we don't have enough block capacity when it comes down to like size to manage that on Bitcoin. Like you could easily do that on Litecoin and atomic swap between chains, and of course, just sort of like have privacy too with Mimblewimble. But that's neither here nor there, right? Because Litecoin was the first chain that experimented with smart contracts beforehand. Really, if you think about it, there were entire video games built around Litecoin, just sort of as like a test bed to see if it could work, see if it's actually doable. So yeah. Anyway, back to what you were saying though about like the UTXO, unspent transactions and whatnot, and consolidating those, right? And then like channeling that to an enterprise through custodial solutions. It's the most centralized option compared to something that's like actually self-custody. You control your own keys, you control your own identity, you control your wallet, and you get the minimal fee possible. That's still possible on EVM technology. It's still completely possible. And I'm sure you do have some choice words for Ethereum for sure. Ethereum in and of itself has a bit of issues and drama and sort of like tribalistic, like cultish mentality to a degree, but it's still great tech. It still works. And Wall Street's definitely utilizing layer twos such as Base to ship solutions for their clients that are non-custodial. You know what I'm saying?
I want to get to Rice Crypto's point. Then scale Bitcoin. Like you're saying, get off. I don't want BRC20s and inscriptions. Why not just scale the base layer? I'm not understanding what the problem is here.
Politics, bro. Literally, somebody wanted something to remain a certain way, and that's just how it is.
No, you got to dive deeper into that, bro, in my opinion.
I'm telling you, bro, if you go back to the Bitcoin talk forums, you read through the debauchery and the bullshit.
It is politics, but what I'm saying is that invisible hand, there's a motive behind the politics that is running Bitcoin right now, and that's the whole debate I want to have, and we're having, and I'm on Joel's side with this. Like, the motive is nefarious. They're trying to throttle Bitcoin and make it essentially a Wall Street instrument. Joel.
Yeah, well, there's two things. There's the we can't 100% know. We can guess at the motives, right? There's the stated goal, and the stated goal is, and you see this being parroted with Ethereum as well, is everyone should be able to run their own node. And that, it's a nice sentiment. The problem is when you optimize for that, you say, we can't have a big block size, because if we have a big block size, not everyone could run a node. Well, so now we have people running nodes who can't even send transactions. So that's where we have a problem, right?
Exactly.
So we need to keep things like scaled in the right order, where that single excuse has been used. And after, like, it's not beat up on Bitcoin Day, let's throw some love Ethereum's way too. So Ethereum has also kind of done this type of thing. Instead of increasing the gas limit, and I'm not as deep into the Ethereum world as I am in more like the payments type space, but Ethereum could increase the gas limit a lot more than it has, which is, a corollary to bigger blocks, more transaction throughput. And previously, execution sharding was on the Ethereum roadmap.
It still is. Are you aware of Denkun? Have you read up on Denkun, sir?
Listen, I would have to actually do much deeper dive into this, but from what I've been told, I don't believe execution sharding is still on the roadmap. I believe dank sharding is for data availability for other layers, but
you're
not
right. It is
actual
dank sharding. Yeah, excuse me.
Yes. So the point is, Ethereum has fully gone into the L2 first thing. Now, the problem is L2s. So I have not been an ETH L1 user in many years because I'm sorry, I'm broke, right? So I have not done that. I do mint some NFTs on Polygon. And the problem is, it's cheap, it works, I guess. The problem is, first off, if someone has, I only use Arbitrum, there's no easy way to just use it across chains. It's basically its own blockchain. And also Polygon has a small validator set with admin keys, meaning it's not a decentralized experience. So if people want to actually have immutable decentralized data and they want to say, oh, my NFTs, I own them forever, my stuff, they have to pay the big bucks. And the poors like me get pushed off onto a company run thing. That a company, so I lose all the decentralization benefits because I'm not rich enough. And that's the pyramid that I have a problem with. Is if you want sovereignty, you get it at the top. If you're rich, you get sovereignty. If you're a megacorp, if you're a government, you get the sovereignty. But the regular people, the more regular you are, the further down the thing, the more you have to trust big companies and institutions to act in your best interest. And where have we seen that go wrong before?
10 pound. Do you agree with that?
Wall Street, of course.
Yeah. Do you agree with that? Do you agree
100%.
that that's
Well, I disagree with it in certain ways, yes, because those are definitely fighting words surrounding the Polygon Foundation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're like doing things in a nefarious way. I think they're just trying to make sure that they can survive war games, cyber war games, and remain nimble and agile. And that's the way that the structure of the network is created in a way that still gives people signers ability and delegation to a degree. But you're not Polygon, though. Polygon, to a certain degree, isn't that. Their ZK EVM does have certain aspects of that, but Polygon's mainnet doesn't have that. And optimism, to a certain degree. Like, I was a part of the formation of the optimism layer 2, right? I actually signed off on the Constitution. I delegated, etc. Right? And yeah, we do have sovereignty as a whole. I'm lumped into that group. I can't talk bad about my friends, man. Otherwise, shit, dude, they'll give me side eyes this month at ETH Denver. So yeah, man, like, it is what it is, bro. Like, yeah, you're right. I'll say you're right, but to a certain degree.
And what is that degree? We want to hear,
bro. It's a gradient effect.
To what point?
It's a gradient effect based on the network effect. What networks you choose to opt into, right? And how you get involved in the network. Whether or not you're paying attention to test nets. Whether or not you actually care. That's all.
Yeah. So I would like to point out, just say, I think at some point when people get the whole L2 scaling thing upside down and say, okay, well, we can do this on this layer, but then the main layer, we can only do this. The thing is, there is no, the mind blow, there is no spoon. There is no second layer. There's only the layer you're using. And so whatever layer you're using, whatever security, decentralization, scalability aspects of that layer are the layer of everything. So, for example, there are no poor ETH users. There's only Polygon users, Arbitrum users, Optimism users. Those aren't Solana users, Base users. There's only those users. They don't get to claim to be ETH users because they're not using ETH. They're using something. No.
That's not true.
Security.
That is not true, bro. I have to say that is definitely not true. We get our security, native security, from Ethereum layer 1. It's like, that's just how it is. Like, we roll onto the main chain with proofs. Like, we can definitely say we have been validated by the initial layer from the beacon chain. That's exactly how the technology works.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with every single L1, but L2, but as far as I'm aware, most have admin keys of some kind, whether it's a multi-sig or whatever. And there are different, I guess, security trade-offs you have to make. And I guess my general argument is, if you can make something as secure as L1 on L2, but with greater scalability, et cetera, why can't you just natively do that on L1 from the start?
Well, because of the throughput, right? So right now, currently, as it stands, Ethereum is doing max about 11 transactions per second, right? And then, which is,
horrible. No, horrible.
It's not that good. It really isn't
that good.
But Yeah, I wouldn't say it's horrible. It's better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't doing more than that.
You know,
Transactions per
comparing
second.
it to Bitcoin does not increase the
What was
the good.
financed from Bitcoin? Like literally, I'm not sure if you guys remember the DAO hack, where like tens of thousands of Bitcoin were literally stolen for the creation of Ethereum, and then they had to fork the ledger just to make sure that they had enough money to really go through with the idea and the operation of Bitcoin, financing the creation of Ethereum. And still, they only had like a fraction of the money afterwards. Like, dude, it was a mess. It was a complete mess. But they still fucking did it, bro. Compared to some of these VC funds that are out there giving these devs millions of dollars, and they show up with no product after like 3 years. Still, but I digress from that
I'm here with
conversation.
anything with clicks that hit it on the head. To me, they won't scale Bitcoin or Ethereum because they need the control. They want the control. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
No. Denkun is going to scale Ethereum, truly, bro. And the thing is, like, it's a long-term time horizon. Like this, it's a slow, iterative process. They're going to scale Ethereum, and also they're reducing the gas fees. And Ethereum's probably going to inflate as well with this next upgrade. So yeah.
So
I think it is a control mechanism though for Bitcoin. Though they definitely want to control Bitcoin.
yeah, so as far as always, like follow the money, and this is something I had to learn a long time because I was a huge Bitcoin guy back in the early days, and over time I have to keep learning lessons that life gives me that are sometimes you have to learn just through through failure and stuff. And it's pretty obvious that so the Bitcoin core developers struggled to get funding basically, and it's just hard finding for who's going to pay these guys if you can kind of have a free rider problem. And so when you don't have development funded from internally from the coin itself, the miners are always going to work, but then developers don't get anything from that. They have to kind of scrounge for their own money. So then you have VCs coming in saying, hey, I'm going to pay for Bitcoin development. And they're like, okay, wait, if I'm paying all the bills, I need something for it. So with Blockstream, what you have come in is a company that specializes in second layer solutions coming in and paying all the bills, and therefore their agendas kind of go in, and it's just a very kind of natural thing. Yes. And of course now you see Blockstream Liquid, now that the Lightning Network has kind of had some stumbles. The Aqua wallet and all those kinds of things are being really pushed hard right now. Everyone uses federated sidechain. And you're also seeing that with, of course, the ETF thing, which I think is going to be an interesting chapter because all the ETFs, so Van Eck and Bitwise at least have pledged a lot of money to Bitcoin core developers. And so now you have these large institutional funds paying the bills.
Yep.
Wonder exactly what's going to happen with that. And this is something that I kind of had a hard time coming to grips with Ethereum, but I sort of have over a period of time, is the same thing has sort of happened because you have massive amounts of money in L2s. And because if you have an L1 that works and scales, there's no money in L2s. You can't have a company make your money, build this solution because people can already use it. And so how do you think you get the roadmap pushed into a way that serves and benefits L2s, but doesn't increase pure L1 throughput? You have the people paying the bills do that. And it's just an inherent problem in crypto. And I'm not going to cap it to be just like, oh, let's pick on the two biggest ones. I'm sure just about every single other crypto project that doesn't have its own way of paying the bills by doing what it's supposed to do will end up either failing, right, not having enough money to keep the lights on, or if they do, they will get it from an outside source that wants their own pound of flesh when they get it. They want their bills paid. They don't care about the average user unless the average user comes through them.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. You're right. And not only that, man, they're also pushing space age technology as well, like utilizing Bitcoin satellite technologies and everything else in between. And bro, they're also in cahoots with some people from the World Economic Forum. Bro, it feels like a massive, like, institutional power grab. I completely agree with that.
Are they succeeding, 10 Pound?
100% they are. You're damn right. Yeah, you're damn right they are.
Okay, so you're on our side then.
Bro, the problem is
This is
People don't
not a
give
debate.
damn enough
This
to
is not a
care
debate
to
anymore.
change this, bro. Oh yeah, we're not, dude. This isn't a debate, dude. People just don't care enough to change the situation to actually take Bitcoin in under their wing and to actually build a business against these maniacal people. Nobody's got the balls, bruh. That's the problem if you think about it.
So, ladies
Like I
and
was saying
gentlemen,
in our
10
private
pound
group,
has
we need to do
folded,
that.
ladies and gentlemen. 10 pound has
We need
folded.
no. Like bro, dude, you saw
He's
the text
conceded.
I was sending you and what I was sending to the homies in the back room. Like, yo, bro, we gotta like actually build something that can like stand up to this monolith. You know what I mean? Like we gotta
But that's
build
what
it.
Bitcoin was supposed to do, and we allowed it to slip through our hands. We allowed it to slip through our hands, bro.
Well, only way to do it is to actually build something that competes and is better, right? Like I was saying, that's the only way to do it. But sure, maybe it's already too late. Maybe the big money guys already have like way too much of a market share now, right? And they see so much control and power over the network. But that doesn't have to be the case long term, right? Like it doesn't have to be the case. If people truly like put their money where their mouth is and have the brains to run the operation, like sure, there will be better solutions.
I have a question for you, either of you. Currently, who is in control of the deployment of upgrades for Bitcoin? Is there one central entity?
I'll have to think about that.
Because I'm going toward the whole premise of the ETF, Van Eck, and these other guys paying core developers, and I'm just wondering if is that the mechanism, is that the back door to a centralized
100%.
development core
Bitcoin improvement
team?
proposals and protocol in and of itself, right? Like that is the red herring here. Like that could change the rules of the game entirely.
Yeah, so I would say whoever pays the bills controls it. And with Bitcoin, there's a certain number. Whoever controls, obviously, the Bitcoin core GitHub repository commits. Yes. But there's a small group of people, including about 10 podcasters. This has actually been referenced both as a joke and seriously, that there's like 10 podcasters. And if they say something, then that's what the rest of the community believes. But there's a small group of people who end up being thought leaders, and whoever, I guess, throws money their way. It works. It's very fascinating because the same people talking about Lightning, nonstop. At some point, someone started mentioning, "Oh, let's all try. Remember Liquid? Let's use that." And then I just saw some random influencer people who aren't technical at all, including a former OnlyFans girl who's now a Bitcoin influencer, started shilling Liquid, and I'm like, hang on a second. You're not nerdy enough to be like into that. Who told you? Where are your instructions coming from?
Right.
So I don't know exactly the route, but there are a small group of people. It's just like who is running the U.S. government today, not to get too political, but I don't think it's one person. I think it's a collection of people.
Yep. I agree 100%. And a lot of these people, man, like they weren't there at the inception of the program, man. Like they didn't actually hash, you know what I mean? Like they're just kind of just letting their money talk for them, bro. Like, and they're hiring actors, bro. It's not good. It's not good. It's become a cult. So yeah.
So is Bitcoin for the average person?
Well, Blockstream isn't the average person, but they are a corporation. So yeah. And I'd say BlackRock isn't the average person, but they are a corporation, and corporations are people. So it depends on whether or not people want to actually take Bitcoin under their wing and keep it, not just sell it, right? Like I was saying, speculation and paying fees to market makers on centralized exchanges isn't the solution here. It's actually holding it and building at the protocol level. I've been saying this for years now.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that Bitcoin is to be held and not used, Joel?
No. And maybe short term, but I did another thread or post on this. Again, I'm not wanting to just put up my entire Twitter timeline on this thing,
good.
but
No.
there's There's another one where I talked about the possibility of fractional reserve Bitcoin, of basically paper Bitcoin. So, for example, if you have, I'm sure we've seen this happen time and time again with exchanges, like when Binance announced they were delisting Monero, they also paused withdrawals because they very likely didn't have the Monero that they owed to people on the actual exchange.
Sure.
And when you have a fully custodial Bitcoin, or highly custodial, let's just say not everyone, but there's a very high possibility that the 21 million limit will be exceeded on paper. Obviously, on the blockchain, you can just see there's only going to be 21 million ever, but there's going to be people thinking they owe
For sure.
like 100 million or something. And
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, the buy and hold doesn't work unless you can afford to self-custody. And if you're paying this giant amount in fees, you can only self-custody if you're rich, or if you first buy a lot of paper Bitcoin, and then once a year when you can afford the yearly withdrawal, then you kind of do it. And then that means the whole year you could be accruing fake Bitcoin. So basically at the very base, I think in order for buy and hold to work, you have to be able to self-custody and absolutely know your own keys. And hold your own keys and just know exactly how much you have. So there has to be at least, like, I'm not even complaining, although I have in the past, right, about like several dollar Bitcoin fees. It's when you start to get in like the $20, $30 range, and then you have a bunch of UTXOs. Now it's a few $100s to withdraw. Now you're having people, a few dollars per transaction, you're having people not buy stuff with it, but people will still save part of their paycheck. They can still afford a few dollars in fees for that. But when you can't afford that, that's when the buy and hold part becomes, for a sovereignty perspective, useless. Not from up. And in all this criticism, I do think that Bitcoin is sort of too big to fail at this point. I think there's enough institutions that have enough money in it that it's going to be around and, be part of the economy for a few years, at least 5 to 10 more years. We'll see. But I'm only interested in the sovereignty part. I want money that no one can fuck with. That's it. That's all I really want. And that just isn't Bitcoin for me today.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, here's the thing, right? I don't even believe that people should buy it and hold it, dude. I feel like people should just actually mine it themselves, generate it themselves, or find a way to work for it. That's just how I advise people to enter the space, because it gives them a very different perspective, right? Because you're providing value to the network effect, which is then creating a sort of like manifestation. And that's good. That's great. That's exactly what this was meant for, right? It's peer-to-peer technology where you provided value to somebody and they saw value in what you provided and they decided, hey, man, let's be friends. And here's this fat ass bag. Enjoy. Literally, I've got royal families to send me money by doing this, So it's just a byproduct of actually caring and doing your research and due diligence and understanding what's the best solution for said sovereignty. But yeah, I digress. I completely agree with what you said, though. If you're gonna buy and hold, which definitely heed this man's advice. So yeah.
So Bitcoin is not for the average person then, because the average person
I'd
is
say
not going to be buying and holding.
Could be for the average person if the average person wants to earn money and hang out with affluent people that could possibly change their lives. Like literally, you show up to like a Bitcoin Miami conference, bro, like, and you actually start rubbing shoulders and like you don't get aggressive and you smile to the world and this world smiles back. You could make a fucking amazing amount of money really fast, actually. So it just depends on who your friends are and how you approach the market. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
that's
there's a way
of the
for you to pull an
population.
Aladdin. And as
I'm talking
dude,
about the people. I'm talking about the people who live in Cambodia, who live in some country in South America.
Okay, so you're not talking about American normies,
Fuck
right? You're not talking
fuck America. You know what? You see what America's doing. Fuck America. I'm talking about the 99% of the globe.
Okay. All right.
Is it for
Bitcoin is
them?
For everybody. Bitcoin is meant for everybody, bro. At the end of the day, it's permissionless, it's open, it's still available if you've got the capability and the means to get it, right? If you don't have a roof over your head, if you ain't got no shoes on, right, and you out there chucking spears, man, you probably ain't getting no damn Bitcoin. But still, like if you have the means to generate
back to
Bitcoin, it's for you.
Go ahead, Joel.
Let me mention something about, it's maybe not as far as like the checking spears type thing, but there is a friend of mine who does not have a birth certificate. His parents never gave him one. He legally doesn't exist. It's like being an illegal immigrant squared. There's no ability for this guy to ever get a bank account because who's getting a bank account if you don't exist?
Right.
He lives entirely off of crypto today. He was crypto and cash, but as of like this year, a lot of people are paying him in crypto, and he's living like the real life. Like I'm the LARPer, right? I'm playing this guy, right? I mean, I could get a bank account if I wanted to, but this guy's the real deal. And I know a few people like that. I know another friend in another country has a past that has him on the run from the cartels right now, and he doesn't have the luxury of anything, of even a public identity right now. And he uses crypto as well. And these are the kinds of people.
Are they using Bitcoin, Joel?
Largely no.
Okay,
my friend, he does. So here's the thing. Some of his clients made a bunch of money from Bitcoin, and that's what they have. And then they pay him in that. But then there's not much he can do with it after that. So he has to then like swap it into something he can use. And he uses a whole lot of Dash. I know he's used Zcash and Litecoin and things like that. And Bitcoin Cash, obviously, too. And these are things that actually work in a day-to-day setting. He says, of course, Dash is his favorite, but maybe that's just because he's my friend. But the point is, you can kind of use this. Bitcoin has its seasons when you can be like, all right, well, I can sort of DCA some of this, or if I get paid in this, I can go pay my contractor. My tires got changed, $400. Here we go, get some Bitcoin. There's some windows of where it still works for those kinds of purposes, but after this market, after this bull market, and towards the next one, those windows, I think, will be closing down, and it'll be really hard to get your hands on actual Bitcoin and actually touch the stuff yourself.
And to kind of, this is where I'm trying to draw the parallels and connect the dots for everyone even watching, because at the end of the day, we're by default, we are kind of evangelists for Bitcoin. We tell all of our friends and family, yeah, but get some Bitcoin, man. Just buy it and forget about it, and you'll be good in 10 years or whatever. I think that narrative needs to start changing. I think we need to stop by default telling our friends and family and peer and associates and peers to buy Bitcoin just by default. We need to have some other set of coins, I think, to give them, because we just
that's where it gets tricky, though.
Yeah,
because
it does.
I agree. The problem is, then what? Like, do you say, oh, everyone buy this coin? It's really, unfortunately for now, Bitcoin is the most like assured thing of not going to zero over the next 5 years. And if despite everything I said, right? And everything else is just still at this age of like, I don't know what's going to win out. I'm working my very hardest to make sure something wins out, but it's more of there's no good answers right now, where people, you might just tell people, okay, look, why don't you, like, if I were honestly going to tell someone, again, it's always like not investment advice. It's not just something I thought about on the fly, right? If there's some like semi boomer or whatever person who says like, I want to get into crypto, what should I do? What should I buy? And all that stuff. I'd probably be like, okay, look, for your like 401k type stuff, maybe have some Bitcoin for now. And then also here's a few different coins you can take and just practice using them. Just do something. And so, for example, I could tell someone, hey, why don't you take one of these ETFs, put some of your 401k stuff into these Bitcoin ETFs. Then why don't you get a Dash wallet, buy a little bit of Dash every month. You can use you can pay your electricity bill with it, for example, in the US. And you go sign up for Spritz Finance, shout out to Spritz, and go pay a bill every month. Just practice it. Just try it out. Get to use it. And then, you start having questions. What about this other coin? What about that? Oh, Monero, I heard about this, but am I going to be called a criminal if I use it? Well, Yes, but you can still play around with it, and then you kind of go from there. And honestly, I think that things will get a lot simpler, but not in the next year or two, probably in the next 5 or so years. I think we'll have easier answers for people. Right now, we're still early enough where, it's kind of too late for the sovereignty part of Bitcoin, but it's too early for like the whatever else we're going to be using to be like, yeah, you can just dump a big bag in it. You're not going to get wrecked.
Hey, I just want to say out loud, because he brought it up, people that use Monero aren't inherently criminals. All right.
Of course.
Literally, privacy is a human right. It's an inherent human right. It's the reason why I'm wearing clothes right now. Otherwise, you guys will be seeing my beautiful black nipples. All right. I'm just saying. Okay. Anybody can privacy mine on Monero with a CPU. Okay. That's just how it is. Like, don't be a dick. Like, governments out there are just going to try to label people terrorists and criminals because they want more control over you, because they're losing their stranglehold on power. Like, literally, fuck that shit. I'll say that out loud. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
So
couldn't agree more.
Tim Pound, what's your take? Would you consider telling your peers, your family, your friends, buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, because it's still the on-ramp into every other coin. Hell yeah, I tell them buy Bitcoin. You fucking kidding me, dude? Yo, dude, come on, bro. Let's be real here. You can take Bitcoin and convert it into any other hash, bro. Any other output. It doesn't even matter what it is, dude. It could be called freaking a cute kitty cat coin. As long as I still got my fucking $1 million bag, I don't give a fuck what it is, dude. As long as it's secure, you know what I mean? Like, and I remain private, I'm fine with it, dude. I don't give a shit, dude. I don't give a shit, dude.
Joel?
Yeah, so
in response to that.
As I said, if people have to use custodial KYC things, if they want to have some Bitcoin, it's probably a good hedge. If they want non-custodial stuff, it's really hard, because then that's when you have to use Bitcoin itself, not just use, the value store, and then that's when it gets tricky. So,
and that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's
are we telling the men from the boys?
Are we telling people, our friends and peers, to buy Bitcoin just to speculate, to be the greater fools, to participate in the greater fools theory?
No,
it is.
No. Okay, you're telling them really not to acquire on a centralized exchange, right? You want them to hold their own keys, so now they can take that energy and take control of that energy and deploy it any way they see fit, any way they want it to be deployed. They could ship it into a contract for them and their homies or their wife, right? They could get married if they wanted to with that energy.
They can't use it in a
yes,
practical
they
way.
They can deploy that energy any way they see fit if they wanted to, right? If they actually took the time to read the documentation and utilize these smart contracts, which Bitcoin.
How can I use Bitcoin in a useful way? In a practical way, when the network fee
there are practical, useful ways to deploy.
When the network fee is $70.
No, dude, no, it's not. What are you talking about? Not if you're utilizing the right network. What are you talking about, blood? No, man. For Bitcoin, BRC20s, yes, for sure. It is super expensive to mint and send those transactions. Yes, but if you're using the right network, 100%. All you have to do is you take that coin, ship it to Exodus, and then use Shapeshift, Thorchain to then convert it into whatever network you want to push your solution on. Literally, you could use Cosmos, you could use Pulse Chain, you could use all these different solutions, any laboratory that you want to use practically. Just pick your choice, man. Just pick your vial and then push your solution. It's really simple.
Why not just buy that coin directly?
Because it's as simple as getting it, right? It's as simple as getting it, having it.
But
in my opinion,
if you're getting it and you're getting it from a centralized,
no. I'm not talking about a centralized exchange source, man.
So how help a person. Okay, listen.
So let's
help
say,
a person out that's new to Bitcoin or new to crypto, I should say, and you're telling them to acquire some crypto. Where are you going to tell them to go?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You're going to tell them to go to Coinbase.
I'm probably not going to tell them to go to Coinbase. No, I'm not going to tell them to go to Coinbase.
Where are you going to
because
tell them to
Coinbase
go?
is going to tell them to wait a week just to get access to their hash output. Sometimes a month. Where would you? I kid you not. Like, I've been there.
I've heard that.
I'm not going to tell them to go there. Hell no.
Okay.
If anything, I'm going to tell them to take cash, tangible cash, and then find somebody that can give you keys, literally. Or
come on, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Nonsense. That's nonsense.
No, it's not nonsense.
That's not practical, man.
It is practical. Bro, there are people that do that all the time, OTC, bro.
Let me see. Let me ask Joel the same question.
And not only that, bro, they even have BTMs, exchanges, where it's an ATM operation. And sure, you are paying like a $2,000 premium per coin, but you're exactly getting your exact coin from the ATM. And you know that QR code has those bits on it, and you can just easily pull it off with the Mycelium wallet.
Press says Cash App. That is one.
Yeah, Cash App definitely gives you coin directly as well, faster than Coinbase. Yes, you can do that too. That's my off ramp.
I'm just looking for solutions. On my phone. Let's have the conversation. I'm trying to look for solutions. So, Joel, what would you tell a person getting into crypto? How should they on ramp?
So there's a couple of ways. If you're just trying to experiment with the actual digital cash type thing. Now the official Dash wallet has a integration to something called Topper, which lets you put it in your credit card and buy without KYC, I think up to $2,500, and it goes right into the wallet. So that's a way to try it out. And at some point, you can register and get more, whatever. If people are looking to completely stay off the grid like that, it's extremely hard, by the way, and it is risky. And I would say if you want to do a P2P cash buy, that's always like the gold standard of this stuff. But make sure you trust the people, because I know multiple personal friends of mine who've been on my channel who have gone to prison over this. So be careful. No prison for you guys. But definitely look up ATMs are pretty good as a way to kind of avoid the whole exchange thing and do it for cash. Again, this is for maybe older generations who aren't as familiar with like all the online stuff, and they definitely want to do something you're useful with. But anyway, as I said, buy a small amount in the wallet through like just the credit card type thing to try things out. Other than that, probably some exchange like Coinbase, but as we covered, not Coinbase, because it's as slow as Bitcoin transactions these days. And so there's some friends of mine that run something called Thor Wallet, which is a Thorchain and Maya Protocol and other DEX front end wallet. I tend to like them a lot because it's like a decentralized type of a Coinbase where whatever you have in there, it's self-custody, etc. But all your trading stuff is on these decentralized networks like Thorchain, like the Maya Protocol and others. And so for something like that, I would say, hey, why don't you can even just like buy 100% Dash. And when you want to diversify into Bitcoin, you use that app to then, I'm going to swap some for a big sack of, again, not every day or you're going to lose it all in fees, but then use it to then provide liquidity, for example, on the network, on that, so you actually earn on some of that, or just hold it in the wallet itself. But that's probably what I would say to do. And that's for self-custody maxis, obviously, which is me, right? If you're talking the boomer friends, there might just be like a 401k into ETF kind of thing, and just understand that, they have to be curious enough on how this kind of thing works. Although a few weeks ago, I did go on a show with a fellow who's a grandfather, and I did get him to onboard the right way. So it can happen. You can get, any people from any generation to actually use this stuff.
What's on this screen here? What tweet is this from BTC Sessions? What is he saying here? I remember this actually. I think I retweeted this.
Yeah, shout out to my boy. He's not my boy. He hates me. But anyway, he just said just had a private session where somebody had done daily dollar cost average of small amounts for an extended period of time with fees at 55 Satoshis for VByte. It cost him $1,300 to move his balance to cold storage. If he waited and fees spiked, it could have been 5 to 10 times more. And his lesson in this is you learn UTXO management / consolidation, which I'm not saying don't, but if you have to avoid paying like the cost of a brand new car, I don't know what they cost these days, whatever, to move your funds to where you control them. I mean, it's just like, if you have, what happens if you have 25 grand worth of Bitcoin? That's all you have. And you want to own it all yourself, not just trust Coinbase in their shenanigans or whatever. Then you literally have to cut that in half, maybe, if you pick the wrong day to withdraw it. That's unacceptable. People are just going to leave it on Coinbase or whatever.
And
that's the way it's
they're
gonna end.
checkmate. This is what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is why Bitcoin is dead. I'm trying to tell you, 10 pound, it's over.
No, it's
Bitcoin
not
is dead.
over yet, bro. It's not over to the fat lady swings or
they-
loses
no,
weight with
they-
Ozempic.
They've set up the industry and the infrastructure
Shout out to Maglutide.
in a way where now you're just forced to keep it on Coinbase. You're just forced to keep it. You get what I'm saying?
No, it's not gonna be that way ever, dude. It's never gonna be that way. There's always gonna be room for core. There's always gonna be room for core, dude. I'm telling you, always, bro.
Will
Like,
there,
yeah.
Joel? Will there always be room for core?
You mean in the world of sovereignty? I don't think so. In the terms of the global financial thing, well, yeah, probably.
What do you mean by that when you say in terms of sovereignty?
In terms of so for when you use a lot of crypto, there's different levels of access you get, right? So if you obviously, to get an exchange, you have to KYC, you have to hold up your little ID and get approved, and then you have to sometimes answer questions as far as where did the money come from, where did it go, all that kind of stuff, and then you have to verify a deposit address sometimes, even all this kind of stuff. That's like a lot of restrictions. And then at just the base protocol level, anyone downloads an app, sends and receives whatever. But then there's levels of, for example, geo-blocked things. Oh, this service is not available in your jurisdiction. Or then you can buy certain things or pay for certain things with crypto without doing any kind of KYC. But then up to a certain level, when you start to get to high levels, then some companies will be like, why do you need $10,000 worth of Amazon gift cards? And who the hell are you, kind of thing. So there's levels of access in that thing. And so the sovereign access thing is where a person who doesn't exist, like my friend, can just use it. That's sovereign money that anyone can use, and you don't have to care who this person is. Mm-hmm. Those purposes for Bitcoin's not good at that today, but you can still use Bitcoin like that. I don't think that's going to be the case forever, is my point. I think within 5 to 10 years, Bitcoin, all the Bitcoin you will ever touch will be trapped in these custodial loop systems. And if you withdraw, it'll be like an exchange moving their stash to cold storage, where everyone will be like watching that, be like, which company or institution is moving that? Your ability as an individual to just be like, you know what, I'm going to just take my Bitcoin and just hang on to it and do whatever with it outside of these KYC custodial type systems. Your ability to do that will be almost zero within 10 years. That's like an early prediction. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. Maybe I'm pessimistic. I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's probably pessimism for sure.
Can you explain, either of you, because Press is a little bit confused. He said, I moved Bitcoin from Coinbase to a ledger before and paid like $2 to $3. Where are those large fees coming from? Can you explain what that is?
The demand
scenarios,
so
the scenarios where the large fees are coming into play.
Oh, I can do that for sure. Okay. So, Blockspace is kind of like an audio reactive visualizer, right? Imagine it like whenever there's no music playing, it's like, really silent. The line is like not existent, right? It's just like not moving at all. Whenever you get like a spike in transaction volume, it starts to jump up. Whenever the wave is like rapid, right? Whenever there's a lot of volume and the subs are cranking and the trebles going crazy, it's impossible to really perceive all the elements on the network because everybody's talking so loud, right? It's filling up the block space. And the demand is then outpacing the rapid sort of like transaction speed rate, right? So people have to pay more to get their transaction into a block. And you can visualize this in real time with txstreet.com. Literally, you can go to TX Street and visualize this with practically any blockchain, including Monero, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, a whole bunch of chains. It will literally show you what's going on in the mempool in real time, what transactions are currently pending, and what transactions aren't even really like inside of the block just yet, right? But are waiting for the next block. So you'll see transactions move from one block up to the next over and over and over again, just cycling up from the bottom block up to the next block, up to the next block, up to the next block, in the form of tiny little South Park characters moving out of a bus and into another bus. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, 10 Pound, for not only confusing press more, but adding crypto blood into the confusion. I don't know what the hell you just said there.
I'm talking
Joel,
about like
let me go to Joel. Let me go to Joel and
visualizing
see
sound.
if he can help us.
Because it's called sound money, right? Sound money, right? It's like, have you ever heard of a visualizer? You know what a visualizer is? A visualizer is what's behind me right now. This is technically an audio visualizer. Okay. This thing is moving upwards as a space elevator, literally to the sound of music. It's visualizing input and output, right? But yeah, hopefully I can like probably say it in less confusing words, maybe. So
let's give Joel a try and see if he can help us. Let's see if Joel can help us with Press's question here.
Have you ever used Uber? And then you get surge pricing and you get screwed on the fees. That's exactly what it is. It costs a certain amount every normal time, and then they're just like, oh, Uber's expensive now. I'm not gonna Uber. I'm gonna just drive, or I'm gonna whatever. But then when you really need it, when everyone's trying to go to a conference, all of a sudden the supply constricts and it just gets super expensive. So day to day, like people over the years, people will pay like 50 cents to a few to $2 to $3 always for a Bitcoin transaction. That's just what people will pay. But then when there's someone who wants to use the blockchain to like mint a bunch of monkey JPEGs or whatever they're doing these days, then all of a sudden, oh, there's no capacity. And if you really need to move your money, like you want to get something on Coinbase or whatever so you can make a trade, all of a sudden that $2 to $3 goes up 10x. You need to make sure you're at the very top of it. And then the $2 to $3 people are the people who are like, yeah, I'm moving to my cold storage. I don't care if it confirms today or in the next 2 weeks. And I just wait for a nice time. So then that's sitting around the mempool for a while. So that's where that comes from. And again, we're talking about like pyramids and stuff of like people who know how to, it's just like people who are really good with accounting, have a great accountant,
who are rich.
They could pay no taxes because they figure it all out, whereas the average person kind of gets screwed. So if you're really good at UTXO management and timing and, oh, I'm going to wait for Christmas Day when no one's using this stuff to consolidate, because if you're like a ninja like that, you're probably going to be able to get away with relatively low fees, but the average person just hits send and it's just like, it's not working. I paid $30 and then, there you go.
And then, so then just imagine if people actually use Bitcoin. Let's just imagine if the United States, let's just say, first world country, any of them, we actually use Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis. We're moving money around. I'm sending Joel some money. I'm sending 10 pounds sending me money. We're money laundering, baby. Let's just imagine, okay? Then what happens? Now, no one is paying $2. Everyone is paying $40, $50, $100 just to move money around. This is what I'm saying. I'm trying to get everyone to understand here. Bitcoin used in an actual practical manner is not practical.
It's not meant for that, though, bro. It wasn't actually meant for that, though. Let's be real here. It wasn't actually meant for like
Bitcoin was not meant to be peer-to-peer cash.
No, it was meant to be a peer-to-peer digital cash system. Yes, it was supposed to be that. Yes, I completely agree. But it wasn't necessarily supposed to accommodate everybody in the world trying to sort of just utilize the base layer. It was never going to be that ever. And the engineers knew that. The social engineers knew that. It was never supposed to be that way, in my opinion.
Joel, your feedback on that?
Well, it very much was supposed to be that way by whoever created it now and whoever bought into it for all these years. And I have to say, ever since the 2017 era, it's very obvious that it's become a different direction. But the point is, I think that whatever Bitcoin is today should be what it is from now on. Like, let it be what it is, but just stop lying about it. The problem is you have so many people saying, oh man, freedom money, sovereignty, all this kind of stuff that it's consistent with the white paper and the goals of the early movement, but it's not the Bitcoin today. And so people are talking out both sides of their mouth. They're saying, no, it's only custodial. It's only this. It's okay. Trust custodians, but it's freedom money, guys. And you can't, it can't be both.
Not saying you are 10 pounds. We're not saying that you're saying
guys,
that.
What I'm saying though is like you're mishearing what I'm saying though, because literally we all came to this conclusion in 2017, 2016, that Ethereum would sort of like be that layer for mass society, not Bitcoin. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what the social engineers were talking about.
Joel, did you?
Dude,
I mean, I bought in for
an entire agenda
cash.
Practically. That's the reason why the DAO hack even happened. There was man, bro. Man, I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, the point is,
come on, 10 pound. Don't tap out on me, man.
Here's something that I think that not enough people are talking about these days, which is the reason we have this discussion at all is because Bitcoin doesn't work for the things we want it to work for. But we still are in this point where people want Bitcoin. And how do you reconcile those two things? You just yell. Do you lie about Bitcoin? Do you yell at it, or do you find a solution? So here's my point. I think every single decentralized cryptocurrency that real people can use, worth its salt, should be finding a way to have bridged Bitcoin, wrapped Bitcoin assets that you send. Why doesn't, I guess that Litecoin, for example, is serving as an L2 for Bitcoin in a lot of ways, but why doesn't it have a Bitcoin denominated token on it, for example? Wrap Bitcoin exists on Ethereum if you want to somehow pay even more fees, but that's a different story. The point is, a Solana or like
is just a sham of a corporation as well when it comes down to servicing wrap Bitcoin and upgrading that contract. By the way, I don't even want to get into that
conversation.
Everything
conversation.
So, for example, Thorchain has synthetics for pools that use a representation of Bitcoin to trade. So you can trade back and forth for low fees, even though Bitcoin fees are high. There will be this, just like there was this big stablecoin boom for USD. I think that the next thing is people are going to want to transact in Bitcoin without trusting custodians. And they can't do that with L1s. The Bitcoin native L2s, whatever the hell that even means, right? Probably won't be that good, or you'll have to trust, Blockstream and all their buddies with Liquid or whatever. But I think that if you do have a decentralized network that does start to do Bitcoin denominated coins that people actually trust that there is Bitcoin behind those, then those will be things that people will get to use a lot more. So that's the have your cake and eat it too. I wish it didn't have to be this way, but it's probably the best we can do.
All right. Well, I want to just thank both of you for coming on today. Great conversation. Make sure you guys go follow both of them in the description. I have their links to their Twitters or X profiles. Definitely go follow them. Give a round of applause. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up for sure. And I want to just let you guys leave us with your final words for today. Start with Juan Fitty.
Hey, I appreciate you, Blood, for bringing me on today. I'd say don't necessarily look to the past to predict the future. Carve your own lane. Most definitely check out Pulse Chain.
Oh my god.
That's it. That's the last.
No, he didn't.
That's all I gotta say.
No, he didn't, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Joel, last words for the audience today.
Yeah. we have a crazy once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to live free, and we have to seize that when we can, which is now. So live on crypto before it's too late. And you don't have to do super deep plunge right now, but the best way to learn about crypto and learn who's full of it and who isn't is to use the stuff. Yeah. Get some, doesn't matter which one, get a different one, buy something with it, mess around with an NFT, do whatever, and try to, the biggest thing is try to rely on it, where it's like, oh, this is how I pay my water bill. Okay. Well, once you have to do that, you can't just have patience when it doesn't work. You need, oh, shit, I need to pay my water bill. It's going to get shut off. I can't shower anymore. I'm going to smell like ass. So that's what all I'm saying. Start trying to live on crypto, even if it's a little bit. That's the only way to really know what's going on in the space.
Yeah. Well, there you go, ladies and gents. Great conversation. Appreciate both of you coming on today. Guys, that's it, man. The conversation, is Bitcoin dead? Oh, well, you have to decide. Who
yes
are you gonna? No. Yes and no. All right. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Go follow these guys, both of these individuals, great individuals in the crypto space. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Holla.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Okay.